I'm sorry.
All good.
Okay, here we go. And welcome to another edition of Hoops Hitting Gems podcast. I'm your host, David Jones. We had a small little technical issue at 7 o'clock, but here we are. Thank you guys for joining again. Episode number 92. Man, thank you guys for tuning in. We had a 2-week hiatus. July was crazy. I was Puma Nationals in Philadelphia, Run for the Roses in Louisville, Kentucky. Adidas Nationals in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and then back in Rock Hill again for the NCAA Academy. Saw a lot of good basketball, a lot of good players, a lot of good hidden gems, as we might say. And, it's just one of those things where, I thank you guys for being so supportive. And, for all you coaches that see me on the baseline and wondering, who is that guy that doesn't have on a school shirt? Yes, it's me. So, I use this platform to assist kids to get, to whatever level it is. And tonight is no different. We have one of the great coaches in Georgia. And I can't even say she's a hidden gem anymore because more and more people are starting to know about her. And we have Coach Joanna Wrights. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me, David. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm well rested now, so I'm back on the scene. After we met 2 months ago at GHSA Girls Live, which I might add is now one of the premier team camps in the country. You have Georgia, you have DC Live, you have Texas, and then you have California/Phoenix. To me, those are the best four, and that's no knock to anybody else because it's not that any other place doesn't have talent. It's just those four definitely stand out from a coach's perspective. But, as I was putting out the promotional tonight, I had a lot of people ask me, is West Georgia D1 or D2? And that's why I wanted to bring you on to introduce those people that aren't, quote unquote Georgia people that, watch the show from all over the country, to introduce you to those schools as you start to reach out to those schools or those prospects and say, hey, maybe West Georgia may be a fit for you. Tell us about West Georgia University.
Yeah, I'd love to. And I love that you talk about hidden gems because that's what we feel like we are. Located in Carrollton, Georgia, just about an hour west of Atlanta, right off I-20, an hour and a half east of Birmingham. And what a great university we have and a great community here in Carrollton. A lot of people don't know about us, and when they get on campus, they're just they love it. They're like, wow, we didn't know this was here. This place is amazing. We have just under 13,000 students, 10,000 undergrad, and with such a good sized student body, we have so much to offer academically. We have over 100 academic programs. Third largest campus in the state of Georgia, and one thing that we love is that we have the third largest basketball arena in the state of Georgia. So yes, Georgia Tech, and then us. We are grateful for our state-of-the-art facility.
Might I add a beautiful facility as well? Because when you take down the main court, you have, my gosh, is it 5 courts right there on the main arena, and then there's like 6 or 7 more in the rec center, something like that.
You got it.
It's really nice. So for you people that are watching, by all means, Google it. It's a really nice facility. And like she said, it's tucked away. So, a lot of people don't know about Carrollton unless you're driving from Atlanta to Birmingham. You'll see the Carrollton sign. And I don't think they have do they have a West Georgia sign on 20?
It's tiny. They need to get a bigger one.
Yeah, but to your point, and once you get off of 20, it's about a 25-minute ride from 20 to get to West Georgia's campus as well. But a beautiful campus. For people, it was ironic that you're on the show tonight because last weekend Carrollton High School was on their football team was on the national level playing. I had a lot of friends. I'm from Pittsburgh, and they asked me, "Hey, man, where's Carrollton at?" I said, "Oh, it's tucked away. It's not too far from Atlanta." They said, "Man, that's a nice little school. I said, oh, and I said, listen, that's a junior college over there. Their facilities are just as nice as West Georgia for it to be a high school. And I said, somebody's put a lot of money out here into the high school and college.
Yeah, I think it really shows the community emphasis on education, and that's starting at pre-K all the way through the universities here in Carrollton. This community values young people and investing in them, seeing them succeed. We love the Trojan Nation. We support them. They've got great coaches. Girls basketball, he is off the charts, one of the best coaches in the state of Georgia. And they've got great coaches in all their sports. We were ecstatic to see them get a win on ESPN2 last week. So we cheer for them and they cheer for us. And, you won't find a better community of people than the people that are here in Carrollton.
Oh, definitely. And, that was one of the things that, I told people when they asked. I said they have a fiercely loyal fan base out there, fiercely loyal. And I think that's great. That plays right into your hands as well, being out there, because at some point, as you all start to take this Division I ride and you guys start to win, people are going to start heading on down 20 from both sides, from Birmingham to Atlanta to all stops in between, because they're going to want to see, especially when they see that arena on TV, they're like, hold on, what is this?
Yeah, it's nice. It's really nice. And I'm glad you brought that up. We love our arena, and there's so many great things about this university that I could talk about, but it's the people that make this place so special. From our players to the students, to the faculty and staff, the coaching staff. It's just, we are the people of Carrollton, and there's just great people in this community from top to bottom.
I agree. And it shows, and the quality of product that they have out there. Like you said, you guys are making that big jump from D2 into the ASUN. For people that are not familiar with the ASUN, we call it ASUN for short. It's the Atlantic Sun Conference, which is a quality conference as well. Tell us about that jump and how you're going to be prepared for it this year.
Yeah, we are so excited for this opportunity to make this move from Division II to Division I and join the ASUN. What a great conference. We have a lot of respect for the coaches and the other programs in this conference. Florida Gulf Coast has been the top dog in the conference for quite some time. And 4 schools in Florida, Stetson, North Florida, Jacksonville. Kennesaw State is leaving. Yes. We are joining the conference, and we are centrally located right in the middle of all the schools. One cool thing about the ASUN is the travel that we're going to get to do. We'll be up in Louisville, we'll be in Nashville, we'll be in Charlotte, we'll be near Orlando, we'll be in Little Rock. And so there's great basketball in those cities and in those states where we're going to be playing. And so we're excited to compete. We know it's going to be tough, but we're a group that loves a challenge. We recruit to that, and we're really excited about the move.
Everybody's excited. The basketball community in Georgia, with you guys making that move, and really even with Kennesaw State making their move, because it just makes Georgia such one of the meccas for basketball, because you got the ASUN, you got the Sun Belt, you're going to have Conference USA, of course, you got the ACC and the SEC. So, if you're a basketball head, this is the place. This is definitely the place here.
It is. And I'm glad you brought that up. We have so much respect for the high school coaches and the AAU coaches in the state of Georgia. You mentioned it with the GBCA event, how well run, well attended, the level of competition. I spent 3 days there in June because there were so many teams and so many players there to watch. Yes. So the level of basketball is so high in this state. Every year we're going to have 20, 30 kids go to Division I just out of Georgia at least. At least. And that's a credit to the high school and the AAU coaches. They do a great job with development. There's a lot of girls in the state that play basketball. And so this is a great state to be a college coach in. We wanted to run great camps. That was one of our goals when I took this job, just under 2.5 years ago. And now our camps sell out. And that's because of, the dedication that the players in Georgia have to becoming elite. And so I love coaching in this state.
Oh yeah. And do you guys have a team camp out there?
We do in June.
Yeah. That team camp, with you being right there on the line of Alabama, you're able to grab those Alabama schools as well as those Georgia schools now. So I'm pretty sure that's going to sell out as well, because you have the room a team camp there can bring 35, 40 teams easily.
Yeah. We did. This past year, we had teams from Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina, Mississippi,
wow,
and Florida. So with the space that you mentioned at the beginning of this show between our facility and then our rec center, which is right down the road, we can host some great teams, and we were so appreciative of the coaches that make the sacrifice to bring their teams. So
oh, definitely. And it was a testament, because before you guys went D1, you used to host one of the biggest JUCO events right there as well. Yeah. And that's really what put West Georgia on the map, because we all would make that track out there for that JUCO event. And that's how you'd be like, hey, this is nice. This is real nice.
It's really nice.
And when you start to see that, and so with you having that team camp, now those kids, it's basically, great free recruiting tool for you, because when those teams get out there, I can almost imagine everybody's like, I never would have thought this is out here. And, you working magic from there.
We're working on it. That's right.
Exactly. And, for what you guys have planned and what you guys are doing, and, the quality of players that you have, now it's game time. I mean, you guys have a live stream. You have the live stream for people to watch the games. I don't know. Does the ASUN have their own network or not? I'm not sure.
We will be on ESPN Plus.
Oh, you'll be on Plus. Okay. Yeah. So you'll be on Plus. And again, there you go. So if you have that ESPN app, or if you purchase ESPN.com, you'll be able to watch West Georgia. So, there you go right there. I think this is a really good opportunity for you guys to really launch this to that next stratosphere. And, who knows where you guys may end up, because you're going to get a boatload of talent. Like you said, within that, let's just go with that 4 or 5 hour radius. You can get to Memphis, you can get to Birmingham, you can get to Nashville. Of course, you can get to Atlanta, you can get to Charlotte, you can get down to Daytona basically as well. So, those are a bunch of hot spots as well. When you're talking Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, some really good ball. And that's only the Southeast, and I'm not knocking anybody else, but like she said, there's a plethora of kids in that 5 hour radius.
There is, and that's where we devote our attention in recruiting. And we're fortunate, just how high the level of talent is in the Southeast.
As our loyal viewers are out here watching, they can tell you're still in the office grinding.
You know it.
But let me ask you this, and when you're out there, and we sat up there and we watched it at GBCA live as well. What are you looking for when you're looking for talent, whether it's JUCO, whether it's high school or portal? What makes them a West Georgia prospect in your eyes?
Yeah. Well, you hit the nail on the head when you said talent. That's it. We're looking for talented basketball players, and what that looks like is a little bit dependent on position. But for us, if they're a perimeter player, they need to be able to shoot the three. In our offense, in my perfect world, we'd have 5 players on the floor that could shoot the three. Right now, we're getting to where we're at about 4. And so that's really important for us. as we evaluate the perimeter. Especially with our jump to Division I, regardless of position, the size and athleticism piece has to be there. That'll be one of the biggest jumps for us as we make this move, is playing against players that are bigger, thicker, faster, stronger. The skill sets are similar, but the size is a factor. And so we've got to get bigger. Post players, we look for production. We've got to see points and rebounds. That's what we're after. We don't recruit on potential a lot. So we may take somebody that might not be, might not pass the eye test, but if they produce and get the job done, we're interested. So, the talent piece has to be there. We quickly, connect with their high school coaches and get their transcripts. The academic piece is important for us. When I took this job, our team GPA was at a 3.1. We've jumped that up to a 3.6.
Wow.
And that's because of the type of players that we recruit. They're great students. They're motivated. And they have goals. And so that's the second piece. And then the third piece is just what kind of a person they are. And, we can tell a lot about that just by watching how they handle it when things don't go well. When they make a mistake, what do they do? When their teammate makes a mistake, what do they do? We've got to have tough, resilient, blue-collar workers. That's who I am. That's who our program is. And so we look for that in recruiting.
You just touched something, and I just wanted to interject for a quick second because I'm huge on this. You touched on academics, and I can't stress enough how important that is. So let's start right there real quick. What is the requirement to get into West Georgia from academically?
To get in with no test score, 3.2. To be eligible NCAA-wise, it would be a 2.3. But if you had a 2.3 to get into West Georgia, you would have to have a certain test scores for the ACT and the SAT. I can tell you, David, it is very unusual for us to recruit somebody that has under a 3.0 GPA.
Okay. And that's why I wanted to touch that because, a lot of times people don't understand. They just think because you can play, you're going to make a way for them to get there. But if the school won't accept them, there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah. And I want them to be successful academically.
Yes.
And so if I don't think they have the motivation to be successful, I don't want to bring them here and set them up to fail. So that's really important for us.
And that's why I thought that was so important to pretty much bring the light because, unfortunately, we see so many people invest so much time into their skill set, but sometimes it takes away from the academic piece and they're forgetting actually you're supposed to be using this as a vessel to get to that diploma, that degree, that graduate degree, whatever they're trying to do. And unfortunately, I hate to see it, when I'm broadcasting games or, when I'm just out evaluating, you see these, young ladies as well as men, sometimes they'll finish and sometimes they're a year and a half away from graduating.
And that doesn't set them up for success. And that's such a big part of what we do is we're educators here. And we want to see them succeed, which is graduating and then being ready for the next step. We have a lot of players here that want to play professionally and are good enough to play professionally. And we'll go overseas. We actually just had our first player under my time here as head coach sign a professional contract. She left for Germany last week.
Oh, wow.
But whether or not they want to go pro, we're constantly talking with them about, okay, then what? You're only going to play basketball for so long, and then what? And if you can find a way to make a living doing something that you love doing, that's kind of where you want to be. And so we have a lot of conversations with our players about it. Our players have internships. Our players have jobs in the summer. Our players volunteer, so that when they graduate, they are more than just a basketball player, and they're ready for the next step in life, whether that's right after they graduate or whether that's after their professional career.
Would they have an opportunity to come back to you as a possible graduate assistant?
Yeah, we have graduate assistants here at West Georgia. Our men's team actually just had a former player come back and be a GA. So, yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, I always like to ask those questions because I love to see programs support former players, if that's what they want to do. Some of them want to use that as a vessel to get into coaching. Some of them just want to use it to, get their master's degree. And I have no problem with either one.
Yeah, that's right. Both are great things.
Absolutely. And so one of the things, and, as we sat there and talked, we watched a number of talented kids. I always like to ask this as well. You could see somebody and you say, oh, wow, that kid's really good. What is it that will make you cross them off the list? And I like to ask that, and you don't have to get totally specific, but what are some of those big things, whether it's when they step off the court or something you see on the court? What if they have the talent, but you say, no, I can't take that kid?
Pouty and mopey. Pouty and mopey. Those are the things, if I feel like I'm going to have to cheer you up every day and motivate you and try to fuss at you to get you to work hard and play hard, that's just not our type of player. And they grow up, and sometimes it could be just one bad game. And so we're really careful that we look at body of work when we're evaluating. But I can tell you for me, Pouty and mopey, is usually a cross off the list, because who we're looking for is great teammates.
You're looking for culture players, right?
Fierce competitors, players that love playing basketball. They're in the gym. They love camaraderie with their teammates. They get excited when their teammate makes a good play. If their teammate makes a mistake, they're the first one to give them a high five and pick them up. Those are the players that we're after.
And yeah, I couldn't agree more. And one of the viewers just brought up a great point. Our guy Willie is on the men's side over there.
He's a great dude.
Yeah, great guy. And I look at this, just looking to see where you're going with this. What's a typical day at West Georgia? Now that you have them on campus, are you going to be a morning practice person? Are you going to be an evening practice person? What's going to be that typical day at West Georgia once you get everything rolling?
Yeah. Well, we're a little bit unique right now. This is our third year in a row with a player that's getting their MBA. And those classes are in the evenings.
Okay.
And so because of that, we have turned into a little bit more of an early morning operation. Okay. So since our afternoon practice blocks get cut short a little bit by those MBA classes. So we ramp up usually between 8 and 9. If we're in our 8-hour segment, we've got 4 on the court and 4 in the weight room. And then we'll go to 20 hours mid-September. But we like to operate kind of in that 8 to 11 block right now. Okay. And then we've got a couple shorter blocks in the afternoons. But one cool thing about West Georgia is we don't have class on Fridays. So Friday is a big day for us. In the preseason, it'll be track, then practice, then weight room, then a team meal. And then once we're in season, Friday is usually a pretty heavy practice day for us. So,
okay, let's talk about that schedule real quick. What's that schedule looking like for this year?
We're excited. So we've got Vandy, we've got Georgia Tech, we've got Loyola Chicago as our guarantee games. And then we've got 4 at home and 4 on the road. So we'll play 11 in the non-conference. And then after Christmas, we'll get into the ASUN. So we open up in Florida at Stetson and then Florida Gulf Coast. So
gotcha. And that's when you open up conference, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And your returning players, because this is going to be all new to them. They're making that jump from D2 to D1. Who's going to be the leaders on that team?
Yeah, we're fortunate. We have a strong core of returning players, talented, good leaders, all the culture pieces that I've talked about through this podcast. I look to Zariah Davis and Micah Anderson, two of our guards. They're fifth-year seniors. Thanks to COVID. Talented, competitive, tough. I think they'll lead us. We've got 4 transfers coming in. 2 of them are also fifth-year seniors.
Wow.
And so we've got 4 fifth-year seniors on the team. So, even though we are jumping up a level, their experience, their age, they're ready for this.
Okay. Before I let you go, I always like to ask these questions as well. Why West Georgia? If I'm a kid that got a couple options, what is it about West Georgia that's going to make it stand out to say, I need to sign and come here?
Yeah, that's such a good question, David. I think first and foremost is the opportunity to play. So kind of with our roster makeup right now and for the next year or two, there's minutes available. And we're looking for people that can come in and make an immediate impact. We don't have any players on our roster that we're thinking, okay, well, let's develop them for a couple years and then maybe they can play. And it's not that we don't develop our players. We spend a ton of time on it, and our players get better. But they've got to be able to contribute when they step foot on campus. And so playing time is a big piece. The things that I talked about earlier with all that our campus has to offer academically, with the quality of people that, they're just in a community of people here that are so driven to see them succeed and invest in them. And then I think the last thing I would say is, I think they want to pick us for the chance to do something that hasn't been done yet. We're first. We talk about this all the time. It's our first Division I practice. It's our first Division I weight session. It's our first, time on the track as a Division I program. We're getting to do something here that no one has done before. Our goal is to win a conference championship here. That hasn't been done in 30 years. You walk in our gym, you're not going to find a women's basketball banner. And so we recruit to that. It's a different wiring. To find the players that want to be the first, that want to blaze their own trail so they can bring their kids here and say, I did that, we did that. I was the first person that got this program on the map. And so we look for it in recruiting. We talk about it in recruiting, and you can kind of tell when that hits a nerve with some kids, good or bad. I think that's what I would say.
Okay, listen. This definitely won't be your last time on the show. I'm excited to get out there to check out a couple games this year. It's not that far from me, about 45, 50 minutes. I can get there. So, I'm going to come out there and check out a practice as well before the season gets going. And we look forward to bringing you on the show. We like to have a motto. Once you're on this show, you're considered family.
I appreciate that, David. Anytime, I'm in.
Listen, thank you so much for coming on to the show, and we're going to talk some more in the near future. Okay.
That sounds great. Thank you, David.
You're welcome. You take care. Okay.
Okay. See ya.
Bye-bye. Listen, love her to death. It's sometimes you talk to people, and when you're just getting to know them, a 10-minute conversation can turn into 20, 30 minutes, and sometimes 40 minutes. And she's one of the bright minds of the game. So for you young ladies that are looking at opportunities, I would behoove you to take a look at West Georgia. Our next guest, man, this is big for me. I'm a Pittsburgh guy, and one of the things I always say with pride, there's a number of really good coaches out of the Pittsburgh area, and this one's no different. He's taken a program, he inherited a program that was already winning, and he just took the Mercedes and kept it rolling. Tonight we have Coach Hermie Carmichael from La Roche University. How you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, man. Good. Finally get to bring you on the show, man. Pittsburgh guy. We got to stick together. You know how it is.
I do. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I obviously a couple years now we've been in contact, so it's great to be on your show for sure.
Definitely. So, I definitely wanted to bring you on. LaRoche is a D3 school out of Pittsburgh. And, we always talk, the importance of D3 basketball and the quality of basketball sometimes that people don't understand how good D3 basketball is. You've been fortunate enough to keep that thing rolling at LaRoche. You've hit the tournament a couple times. And like I said, previous to you getting there, LaRoche was already rolling. And like I said, you just taking the keys and kept that machine well oiled. What are you doing out there and I'm not going to ask for the secret sauce, of course, because, you got a great fan base. You got great support. Me and my guy came out there, not last year, the year before for the AMCC tournament. And I mean, that whole atmosphere was electric out there. And that was one of his first times seeing D3 basketball. When he saw it, he was like, oh man, yeah, this is it right here. I was like, yeah, man. I was like, this is D3, and this is what LaRoche does year in and year out. That's one of the, quality programs in the area because, there's a number of D3s in the Pittsburgh area, but, everybody knows who LaRoche is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I appreciate that. There are a ton of, great programs around our area, but, we got a great facility. For one of the older facilities in the conference, it's just a great setup, walking in there on top on the track and looking down. And, I'm going to say no different than most coaches. We win because we have great players. I mean, it's not a culture thing. I mean, culture comes when you start winning a lot of times. But we haven't changed anything over the years besides just realizing we got to go out and get the best players in Western Pennsylvania. And then when we get the opportunity to sprinkle around some players who email us or call us or coaches call us or whatever. And if those kids want to come and visit and spend time and come and get on our campus, then we'll give them the opportunity too to be a part of what we got going on.
And I want people to understand with, a lot of people can't quite understand that a lot of those guys that go to LaRoche, some of them could easily transfer up to D2 or NAI, especially some of those good all-conference kids that you have. They could easily go to, well, Point Park has moved up, but you get what I'm saying. They could go to an NAI school, whether it be in Ohio or West Virginia, or they could easily catch on at a PSAC school as well. And it's a testament to the quality of basketball. And what people don't understand, you got LaRoche, you got Carnegie Mellon, you got Chatham, you got Carlow, you got St. Vincent's. I mean, there's a plethora of schools within, 30, 40 miles right there.
Yeah,
and it's good basketball.
We had we had Geneva, we had Carnegie Mellon,
yes.
all in the tournament last year, all within 30 minutes of each other.
Yeah.
The biggest thing, you were talking about it before is we still get the best players from the high school teams, even at Division III. They're just not good enough, or they're not at least valued or scouted or recruited as good enough to make Division II or, Division I or whatever it is. But, we're still, each year we still, and not just us, but all Division III programs are still getting the best kids from their high school programs. So it's so important for these kids to come out and watch a practice and watch a game and realize like we don't bring a kid in anymore unless they come and visit, unless they come and watch a practice, and then they come and watch a game, because we just feel like over the years we've been hit too many times with kids that have gotten to us and they just don't realize what it is at Division III. And it's extremely talented basketball at our level still. It really
Absolutely. is. And you just said something, and I'm so glad you said it, because it's the misconception that you're just going to come to a high school and let a coach say, hey, well, here's my 9th or 10th best player, you know, go ahead and take him. It doesn't work. Like, you're looking for those all conference kids. You're looking for those all state kids. You're looking for the same type of kid because, quite honestly, and now, I mean, you're branched out and you're a portal guy, you know, when you get the chance to do, you know, to do that as well, you know, not so much JUCO because of the academic part to get into LaRoche. It's not to say that they can't do it, but people have this misconception that you're just going to take anybody and everybody, and that's not the case.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, I can't repeat it. You know, it's just we're getting the best kids, and then, you know, like once you get those incoming freshmen, then you can take a look and you can sprinkle around some transfers, you know, nowadays, and so on and so forth. But I think the class that we have right now that's going to be seniors, 3 of those 6 kids were all state kids in Pennsylvania. First, second, or third, whatever it was, first, second, or third team, most likely second or third, but still, they're still all state players in Pennsylvania. Yeah. And we got 3 of our 6 seniors that were going to graduate this year were all state players. You know, so, you know, we've been fortunate over the last 7-8 years to really, really bring in some really great players, some really, really great kids, you know, and help us, you know, start this, you know, build up that we've had over those years.
And you know, and I want to ask this as well. When you're out there looking, are you going to like Pitt Jam Fest? Are you going to those type of shoe tournaments and you're looking for those kids, or that's not quite your style? You prefer to go another way? Let me ask that.
I prefer to go the other way. So, like, I have a high school kid that's going to be a senior this year. So it's been a little bit easier for me, myself, the last few years to be at Pitt Jam Fest and to be in Oceans or, you know, in New Jersey, in Atlantic City, and be down in Virginia Beach and be at all these things. But I'm not really recruiting when I'm there. I mean, if I stumble across a kid, I'll go up and introduce myself. We are 99% high school. You know, as soon as the high school season starts this year, we wait until, like, we have a junior list that's going to become seniors. Mm-hmm. And as soon as this year starts, then we start. We have some shootouts at our gym. We bring the kids into our gym that we're recruiting. We bring those teams in to play on a weeknight, you know, 3 or 4 games. And then we get them to our scrimmage for like our recruit day. And then, like I said before, then they got to come to a practice. Then they got to come to a game. And obviously they got to go through the application process and all that stuff like that before we're going to bring them in. Because before we started this build-up, we had a 1-in-24 season. 8 years ago, not somewhere around there now. We brought in like 6 of our 12 kids that year, and 6 of those kids didn't visit campus. Oh. And we learned very quickly how important that was. We had graduated 8. We brought in 12. You know, we were just trying to get things going. It was my first year of losing all the kids from the previous coach, and I was trying to get things going with our guys. And we brought in too many that just didn't understand our culture, what we're about, how we do things, because they'd never come and visited campus. They'd never come and watched a practice. Yeah. I mean, as soon as these kids step in to our recruit day, like our first home scrimmage of the year, we have a recruit day. As soon as they step in and they watch our scrimmage, they know everything about us at that point. They come in the locker room with us. They hear us talk. They watch our guys play. They see our system. They see everything that we're all about, all in one setting. And then we just go from there.
Okay. And I think you said something that, I mean, we said a number of things that are of importance. You know, a lot of kids will come and I like the fact that, you know, you're just not going to take somebody unless they're invested on making the effort to get on campus to see what it is, to see what type of practice it is, you know, because sometimes, like you said, some of those kids could come up there and quickly realize they thought they were this, that, and the other. Now you're just average.
Yeah.
and maybe it might not be a good fit. Maybe you're not good enough for LaRoche. And yes, that could be a tough pill to swallow because, a lot of these kids think, oh, well, I had some D2s. I had this going on. Well, you get to LaRoche and, man, you're struggling. You're
Right.
struggling. And
Right.
so
I mean,
that
it's
reality hits you.
right. I think the reality hits you for one. And then I think also, and this is more for the distance guys, like the two guys I got from Georgia the past year, past couple years. We've had a kid from Buffalo. We almost always have a kid from Ohio on our roster. We get some Maryland kids, as well. But how else are they going to know how small the campus is or how big the campus is or what campus life is like or what the dorms are, any of that stuff, unless you get them on campus too.
Yeah.
So I think it's part the reality of seeing potentially how good, we can be that year or whatever. But I also think it's just the setting, getting them on the setting on the campus to see, what the buildings look like. And, obviously kids from coming up from South got to know that it's going to snow for, 4 months that they're up here, and so on and so forth. So, it hit us really, really hard right in the face to be like, we got to get these kids on campus. And unfortunately, if a kid from Georgia or a kid from Florida, if we start to talk and they say, Coach, we just don't have the financials to build, whatever it is to make that trip up for a visit, then, we just got to say sorry. Like, we got to call it off at this point.
Yeah.
We learned too quickly that it just doesn't work.
Understood. I definitely understood. And, do you really go the JUCO route now, or is that something you're kind of just wait and see type deal?
No, hardly at all. Usually most transfers that we get are kids that we recruited out of high school, and then they've gone somewhere and they were, I don't, whether it's unhappy there or, just want to come back home or whatever the reason may be, but we already have a relationship with those kids. There's been a few here or there, like we just graduated a kid 2 years ago that was a student assistant for us this past year. We recruited the heck out of him in high school. Academically, he couldn't make it though, so he went to a junior college in Cincinnati. And then he ended up coming back for us during COVID and became a really, really great player for us. So usually the only way we go that route is if we already recruited them out of high school. Because like I said, we already have a relationship with them. They've already visited. They've already come and watched the game. They did all those things we've already talked about, so on and so forth. I mean, to be honest, like this year coming up now, at the end of last year, we had 13 guys on our roster still. All 13 have returned. And we have 8 incoming players. And all eight are incoming freshmen, not one transfer. How often do you hear about that nowadays? All 13 kids returned, and all 8 kids are incoming freshmen, not one transfer.
Are you going to have a JV with that type of, or not?
No, we started to think about it a couple years ago when our star roster started to get to 18, 20, 21 kids. The problem is, and just talking to other schools that do JV, is a lot of times they schedule 7 games and then they only end up playing 3 because certain games get canceled, or rosters become smaller at other schools. So we're just very honest with our kids when they come in. If they're kids that we know that are going to be program kids, then we just tell them that right from the beginning, like during the recruiting process. There's a strong chance that you're never going to play, here. But if you want to be a part of something that we feel is pretty special going on with winning, getting the NCAA tournament, this and that, and it's worked for us so far. We had 8 kids come in the year of COVID, and 6 of them stayed the entire time with us. We only lost 2, and both of those were because of academics, not because of unhappiness or anything like that. So we're very fortunate that we, 1, are winning, and 2, we just feel like we have something really, really fun going on right now, and kids want to be a part of it, even if they're not playing a lot.
What schedule-wise for this year? What's your schedule looking like?
It's brutal again. I don't know why I keep doing this to myself, but so we start off with Carnegie Mellon, who was in a tournament last year.
Yep.
Then we go to Ohio Wesleyan, who's always very competitive and, actually been down a little bit the last year or two, but usually one of the top teams in, one of those two Ohio conferences. Then we have Case Western, who was
very good.
Top 15 team in the country all last season. And those all three are on the road. And then we finally get a home game against Otterbein, who again,
good.
That another very good conference. Then we play Muskingum, who's got a new coach for a couple years, so they're building.
Okay.
And then we go to Worcester for a tournament.
Worcester's always respectable. Always.
Yeah. I mean, well, they got what they had when Moore was their coach. They had like 20 some years of 20 straight win or 20 win seasons.
Yeah.
I don't know how we did it for 5 years, and it was really, really hard. I can't imagine winning 20 games for 20 seasons.
And so, people from where we're from, we know about those type of schools. Like they were winning for a long time.
Long time.
Yeah.
Right.
Long time.
So in that tournament is Worcester, Mount Union, who's always really
good. Another nationally ranked team.
Right. And then Bluffton, who I think was around 500 or so last year. But still, when those two conferences over that way, being 500 is pretty good. So
yeah.
Then we get into some conference play, and then I think we finish out. We have Baldwin Wallace, who again another good, really good team. And then we hit Christmas break, and we come back, and we're all conference except for we sprinkle in SUNY Brockport for one more non-conference game during the second semester. So, I mean, it's another brutal conference or non-conference schedule. But I think our guys, we do this for a few reasons. One, I just think it's fun for the guys to go out there and play in these arenas that they get to play in. And it's nothing against these local schools. We could go play W&J in Geneva and, Chatham and all these schools. And I just think it's for lack of better words, I don't want them to be bored with playing the same teams all the time. Yeah. So every 2-3 years we try to change it up. We try to play some of these nationally ranked teams. And I think for recruiting it helps. We're telling some of these kids that are coming in, we're going to go play 3, 2, 3, 4, nationally ranked teams, go play in some of these tournaments, so on and so forth. And so I think recruiting, I think the cool part for the young kids to know that they're going to go play in gyms like Marietta or go play in gyms, like we went 4 or 5 years ago, we went out to Hope in Michigan and played in their arena. So I think it's just the excitement part of it on the recruiting side and things like that, that we do it. We don't really do it for a strength of schedule thing anymore because only one team's getting in from our conference most times.
Yep.
So we learned that the year before COVID, 2019, we were 24-3, and we lost our conference championship to Penn State Behrend, and we didn't even make it onto the board for the selection show at 24-3. And we lost those three games. We lost by 8 points total combined, and we still didn't make the board. So, like I said, we don't really do it for strength of schedule. We more do it for recruiting and just the excitement of getting out of Pennsylvania and going playing against different programs and top 25 teams and so on and so forth. And it really prepares us for our conference. Yeah. So it's exciting for sure.
Oh no! I mean, what you have set up, it when people start to see what LaRoche is doing, then they see that tradition behind it. Then they see that you're playing these top 25 teams. Again, if you're not caught up on levels, Hermie, what you're doing is what D1 programs are doing, and people don't realize that. And for people that are true basketball heads, they're like, wait a minute. You're running this similar to how a D1 or a PSAC school would run their type of program. And if you're trying to look for fit and, and you actually want to have a chance to play, it's not even a guarantee if you go to La Roche that, if I'm not going to go to Clarion, or we're not going to go to Westchester or Slippery Rock, well, maybe I can go to La Roche and, I know I can kill it there. No, that's not the case.
Right.
So not the case,
Right.
And then, like I said, you get that dose of reality, man. So, it's just, that's why I wanted to bring you on the show so people can understand, like, the quality of basketball for D3. And, just like, when my guy, I brought him up there and, he took a look around. He loved the facility. Then he took a look at, he saw St. Vincent. He saw some of the other schools. We didn't even get a chance to see Geneva yet. And Geneva's good.
Right.
Geneva's good. And I said, man, if you go 2 hours west or 2 hours east, there's a load of D3 schools. You just named a number of them. He got a chance to see Mount Union. So he was like, oh, yeah. He was like, they're good. And and actually, like you said, even though it's local, Chatham and St. Vincent are good teams as well. The same with Carnegie Mellon. I think Carnegie Mellon really jumped up and surprised some people last year. And, man, you talk about facilities. That new facility they have, oh, man, come on, man.
Well, I don't know if you know that or not, but I work there. So, I'm not full-time at La Roche. So, I work full-time. I work full-time at CMU.
I know.
So, and I'm on the finance side. So, I see a lot of – I knew about this new facility probably coming before it was even, out there, that they were getting this grant, and so we're playing the first game in that facility this year.
Okay.
So I'm super excited about that. Every year that's a really cool game for me, being that it's my full-time job. But then, add on top of it this year that we get to go play in this, really awesome facility. But I told people last year, they came into our gym and they kicked the crap. I mean, they killed us. And I said, this is one of the best CMU teams I've seen in my 13 years. And then they went to the tournament, right up tied regular season or whatever it was with Case. Mm-hmm. I knew they were going to be really, really good last year. And they returned some of their really, really good players too. So they're going to be right. They're going to be right up there again, man.
And then, everybody knows about the UAA conference in the D3. I mean,
right.
UAA conference, I like to call that the ACC of the D3, because they're going to have multiple teams in the D3 conference now. I mean, in the tournament, excuse me. So, does that sometimes take away from a school like you? But because their strength of schedule and conference is so strong, every year they're going to get 3 or 4 teams in.
Right. Well, I guess there's all this stuff going on now, with potentially trying to change the way that they do some of the stuff with the D3 tournament. And, a lot of people complain about, how they always get 3. Listen, those teams are really good in that conference. So I've never listen, we should have won our championship the year that we didn't make it. I go back, a lot of people, we didn't get in. And unfortunately, that's what we deal with is we're in that conference that, for the Division I pitcher, like a Robert Morris or whatever it is, where you're only going to get one team. But, supposedly they're talking about changing some things because they want to try to maybe give some more chances to some teams like, our team that year in 2019 and some other teams where, if you have a record like you have, and you do go out, so we went to hope that year we were 24-3. We went to hope for that Great Lakes Invitational that Ryan Whitnable runs. That's a great thing every year. And unfortunately, that year was one of the few years that Hope and Calvin, they weren't rated in the top 20. They weren't ranked in the top 25. So, how are we to know that? I scheduled them. It wasn't. I tried to go play against more top 25 teams, and we split. We lost to Hope, and we beat Calvin that year when we were out there. But our strength of schedule didn't end up being good enough though by the end because those two teams, weren't ranked.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. We plan every year. and we recruit every year to just try to go win our conference because we know that's the only way we're going to get in the end.
Hermie, before I let you go, I do have an important question because I want people to understand even more the importance of this on the D3 side. What is needed to get GPA-wise to get into LaRoche?
LaRoche is actually a little bit lower than a lot of schools. So we can get kids in actually anywhere over a 2.0. Now you get into conferences like the UAA, and you get into, a lot of other, stronger academic conferences. You got to have a much better GPA than what we are. But I don't hide that, I don't hide away from that fact. We're lucky enough to where I can go to like a shootout, or I can go to a showcase where there's 100 kids, and I can recruit a kid who has a 3.9, or I can recruit a kid who has a 2.1. You know what I mean? That's what the school allows us to do. So I'm going to go do it. But to be honest, about 6 or 7 years ago, when we started to win, we said to each other as a coaching staff, we're kind of tired of babysitting these 2.1s and these 2.2s and so on and so forth. Like, we think we can go out now and get these kids that are 3.3s and 3.5s. In the last 2.5 years, like, our team GPAs have been the highest they've ever been, semester by semester, because, as you know, winning helps with everything. So you start to win, then you don't have to take as many of those risks and have 4 or 5 kids on your team that are 2.2s. You can still take a risk with one that you think is going to be a stud, but like, we've developed a culture academically now to where we are recruiting a lot more kids who are more towards that 3.0 or above, because we've been able to, win with bringing in some of those kids lately.
And before I let you go, man, and this is my golden question right here. Let's just say whether I'm a local kid or I'm an out-of-state kid, and you just said it yourself. I'm looking at Carnegie Mellon. I'm looking at LaRoche. I'm looking at St. Vincent. I'm looking at Geneva, or I'm looking across the line at Mount Union or Baldwin Wallace and some of those other quality schools. Why LaRoche?
Well, I always say these 3 things when I'm at some point when I'm sitting at the table, with a recruit when they're on the visit. I say you're going to get a really good degree. I work at Carnegie Mellon in the finance department, and when I started there 16 years ago, there was 8 people in my building that had graduated from LaRoche in business. Wow. You know what I mean? So again, I tell you that people can get into LaRoche at a 2.0, but still, like, when you graduate in specific degrees, it's a strong degree. So 1, you're going to get a good degree. 2, you're going to have a chance to win championships. And then 3, we have a ton of fun. We do. We play music during practice. We raise some extra money as a coaching staff. We go out and get sponsors and different things like that, so we can buy them a little bit more food than what we're budgeted for. You know what I mean? When we, after a game, or we have team nights and we go like bowling, and we do some things like that by raising some money. So those are the 3 things that we sell. We sell a good education, a good chance to get a good degree, a good chance to win some championships, and then you're going to have some fun, and you're going to develop some relationships that you're going to have for the rest of your life, because we got a good culture going on.
Absolutely. Hey, man, it's been a long time coming to get you on the show. I'm glad to have you on, because, I wanted more people to know about LaRoche and, the job you're doing up there, man. Hey, congratulations on what you're doing, man, and keep that thing rolling, okay?
I appreciate it very much, and as I tell anybody, man, I'm never shying away from help. So anytime you got some talent to send our way, please send them up our way. Don't hesitate.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you very much.
Anytime, man. You take care, okay?
All right, you too, man. Have a great night.
All right, you too. That's my guy there, Hermie, right there. I mean, great coach, great guy. And, I think you just said something that's so important, where people have to understand this thing is bigger than basketball as well. You're supposed to take away an experience that lasts a lifetime, whether it's friends. You're supposed to get married, and some of your college buddies are supposed to show up, because it's supposed to be a culture and be more than just basketball, because you're going to spend a lot of time off the court together. So, people need to understand that. And I'm so big on not just D1. Yeah, I can show you D1s all day. And I do show you a number of D1s from a lot of different, from Power Fives to low D1s to mid majors. But I also am adamant to show you guys D2s, NAIs, quality D3 programs, mid-level D3 programs, and even D3 programs that are working to get to where LaRoche is and a lot of these other really good D3 schools. You have to find your best fit. And sometimes, like he said, he's going to be honest with you. If you come here and he's going to tell you, hey, you're not going to play, if you are a culture guy and you take that, okay. But if you're not, you need to find somewhere else. And a lot of you guys are going to get the shock of your life, because there's still 3,000 kids in that portal. And these coaches are looking in the portal. Now, Hermie's one of the few that still recruits heavily high school, but a lot of these guys are taken strictly from the portal. So high school kids, if they're not going post-grad or JUCO, unfortunately, you guys aren't getting a lot of opportunity. That's not quite the way it is on the women's side. The women's side is still traditional for the most part, but I want a lot of you guys to understand what this is out here. You got to work your tail off. You got to take care of business on the court and off the court, and you got to be a model student that represents that program. That's going to do it for tonight. But before I let you guys go tonight, boys, you guys need to come to Atlanta September 14th, because me and my guy, Madre Allen from Love of the Game, are hosting one of the premier top 100 events. You know what? I would say in the Southeast, but it is growing so fast that it's going to be comparable to a lot of the other big boys. We got 9 players coming from international. We have some of the top players from Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee. We have kids coming from Kentucky, Ohio, Wisconsin, as far away as Wisconsin. If you want to make a name for yourself, or if you're a hidden gem and you feel like you can play with these caliber of players, come show it. Because there's going to be players, there's going to be media, there's going to be video, there's going to be photographers there, and we're going to tweet out. If we feel you're that caliber, coaches will know, and we will make sure that to get that recognition that you need. That's going to do it for tonight. Thank you guys for joining as usual. Episode number 92, 8 more ways the countdown gets to 100. I want to thank everybody for coming and joining in tonight. I'm your host, David Jones. Good night.